Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and look at certain things in a much deeper way, and then I'm going to go on into try and explain. We're getting closer to the answer why Chochmah is more important than Nevuah. Okay?
Okay.
You know, there's something that you have to understand that I don't think is I made clear and so on. And in discussing the difference between the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov. Because really the question is, what is the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov? Number one. And where does this come from? The concept of Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Tov. Why are there two different impulses that a person really has? You see? Now, from the Ramchal, it's mashma. When you look at the Ramchal and the Das Funis and Kinnis Das Funis, and maybe in Der Hashem, that the Rebbeinu Shem created the two impulses. That the Zulasai has a Yetzer Tov and a Yetzer Hara, which was created by the Rebbeinu Shem to create the possibility of conflict. And the conflict is, of course, over Nam and the Ksufa. You know, and the Rebbeinu Shem created both of these impulses. You know, that's mashma from the to provide the basis for Bechira Chavshis, free will, so that the person can earn a reward, Schav Yoinish. In other words, the whole purpose of creation and to give the Zulosai Hatova. I mean, the Ramchal says very clearly that the whole purpose of the Bria is to create a Zulosai and give him a Tov, because the Rebbeinu Shem is a Tov Meitiv. And what is that Tov? Well, that Tov is Olam Haba. But in order to earn that Tov in Olam Haba, the Rebbeinu Shem had to create an Asoyan where the person had to earn the possibility of that Tov. And those the Rebbeinu Shem created the formula for the giving, for the condition of Tov is Schav Yoinish. In other words, the person has to earn that Tov by doing something, and if he doesn't do that thing, it's not simply that he loses the Tov, that he doesn't get Tov because he didn't do the condition. It's that he gets an Einish. He is punished in some way, and as he undergoes a pain or an agony or whatever it is on, and therefore the person's choice really is not to choose whether he wants the Tov or not. The free will that we have is not a choice between getting Tov or not getting Tov. You know what I mean? The choice is really between getting Tov or getting an Einish. That's a very big difference. So what the Rebbeinu Shem says is, you have your choice is if you don't do something to get the Tov, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an Einish so that you'll still be able to get the Tov.
No, so isn't the Einish a Tikkun? I never understood that. Isn't the Einish a Tikkun? It's like a reset so you can get back to getting the Tov, or is it actually like a punishment? It's not
no, it's not. The Rebbeinu Shem has no interest in punishing you. I mean, what is punishment? Revenge? The Rebbeinu Shem has no interest in punishing you. There's nothing he gets from that. The purpose of a punishment is a tikkun, to fix what you did wrong. So therefore, it turns out that the choice that you have is either you do something right and get toiv, or you do something wrong and get an einish to masakin what you did wrong, so that eventually you can get the toiv. You understand? This is the concept of rachamim. Din says simply this: you want toiv, you do a ma'aseh A. If you don't do a ma'aseh A, you don't get toiv. So the actual choice that Din gives you is either to do something which gives you toiv or not do it. It's to be or not to be. It's a question of existence or non-existence. That's the bechira of Din. But the bechira of rachamim changes that. Rachamim say either you do something to earn toiv, or I give you an einish. And the einish will be masakin the ra that you did, or the mum that you did, and then I can give you toiv. So Rachamim is really... What's that?
It's like a reset.
Yeah, it's a reset, exactly. It's a reset. So therefore, when we think of free will, we think of the free will of din. That in order to get something, I have to do something. And if I don't do something, I won't get something. That's the option of din. But the option of the midas harachamim is that in order to get something, I have to do something. And if I don't do something, I will be forced to do something else, which will reset or masaken the fact that I didn't want to do something. So you see that the bechira free will that has to do with rachamim is very different than the free will that has to do with din. Because the Bnei Shem is not going to give you a choice. He's going to punish you. If you do a sin and you create a mum, he's going to punish you, so you're masaken the mum. He doesn't leave that up to you. He doesn't say to you, well, if you do the thing, the good thing, and I'll give you good, or if you don't do something and you will lose the toiv. That's not the option, because he's going to punish you whether you like it or not. Why? Because he wants you in Olam Haba. And that's why it says that in the contract between the Bnei Shem and the Mashiach, that the Mashiach will save almost everyone. The Ramchal says that there's a miut of the miuta, a minority of a minority of a minority that will not go to Olam Haba. Almost everyone, even Moisrim, even Rishoyim, will go to Olam Haba. But for Rishoyim to go to Olam Haba, he's got to do a lot of tikkun. And his tikkun, therefore, will be major suffering. So therefore, the tzura of life is very different for the midah of rachamim and the midah of din. Okay? But
you're saying, so Shimon, you're saying, so again, so din is schar or ibud, and rachamim is schar or onesh, or
right,
or tov.
Exactly.
Okay.
The options for din is either is kiyum or ibud. That's really the options. And the options for rachamim, okay, is either kiyum or an oinish that will allow you afterwards to have kiyum.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's rachamim. Now the question is, where does the impulses of doing good and bad come from? You know, and what is good and bad? The question is, what does it mean, good and bad? And where does the impulse for either one of these directions come from? So let's look at, first of all, what is good and bad. What does it mean, good and bad? What does the Bnei Shem want you to do? You know, fundamentally, bad is namlik sufa. The real problem that the Bnei Shem has with you is namlik sufa. So fixing namlik sufa is good. Letting it remain as it is bad. That's really what it is. There's no. See, you have to understand, when the person does a chait and he does something bad, you ask yourself the question, why is it bad? What does it mean he did bad? If a person eats treifus, that's bad. Why? I mean, when you really think about it, all he's doing is eating something. That's all. I mean, inherently, intrinsically, it's not bad. The person has a desire to eat. The person has a desire.
It's bad.
What's that?
Hashem said it's bad. Hashem said
but that's an arbitrary thing. It's not bad in and of itself. What's the difference if I eat lobster, if I eat kosher food? Well, what does that mean that the mice is bad? It doesn't mean bad. It means that the mice can damage you. But it's not bad in itself. Bad is a word which implies that something is evil in itself. You mean? But the chatoim of the Torah are not bad so much. You know what I mean? They're simply the wrong thing to do. They're damaging. So the Bnei Shem took an activity and he said that I'm going to make this activity damaging. So of course, if the activity can damage you, it becomes bad. But it becomes bad because the Rebbeinu Shalom made it bad. He made it damaging you. It's not bad in and of itself.
Meaning it promotes Named Ksufa, you're saying?
Right.
Shimon, would that apply to all mitzvahs and averos like killing? Or you think some of them? Are there some that are intrinsically bad?
No. And that's, see, the mitzvahs bein Adam l'mokom, I don't think are good and bad. But the mitzvahs bein Adam l'chavero are bad. But it's not bad for you. It's not bad for you. It's bad for someone else. That is intrinsically bad. But not for you. You know what I mean? For somebody else.
It's a different definition of bad.
Yeah, because that causes pain and damage to someone else. So that maybe has a certain aspect of ethics. You know what I mean? Where you really can't do it because it's harmful to other people. You know what I mean? But the harm that it comes to you...
No, I saw a beautiful thing in that, actually. After that, if anybody's interested, from the Piachetzana, from the Derech HaMelech. He says that that's part of tshuva, is that Hashem goes back and he makes the thing unbad. I said you can't eat chazer, but now that you're doing tshuva, and I love you, I'm going to go back and say chazer is not a bad thing. So that's how it becomes, that's one of the concepts of tshuva, that Hashem does tshuva. He actually goes back and he says, you know what? It's not bad for right now. For you, it's not bad. Because you're doing tshuva. So it's an interesting concept, but it goes along with what you're saying.
I tell you, I don't understand that concept.
Interesting. Okay, good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll talk about something there.
Okay, good.
Good.
So what exactly is the Named Ksufa? And this is the thing, and if we understand truly what Named Ksufa is, we will then understand what the source of the Yetzer and the Yetzer Tov is. The Rebbeinu Shalom did not create the Yetzer Hara, and he did not create the Yetzer Tov. You know? And the good and bad relates to what's called a certain emes and sheker. The Rebbeinu Shalom created the Zolosei, which is really a self. That's all the Zolosei is. And that Zolosei has a consciousness, it has self-awareness, and any kind of awareness has centrality to it. Centrality is the most important concept as far as the Zolosei is concerned. Because centrality means that reality is known and is mediated through my mind. I'm not in touch with actual reality, but I'm in touch with my mind, which knows reality. So centrality is that I am the fundamental source of all reality, in the sense that what I know, comes to myself. So therefore, knowledge is when a person is in touch with himself, and he's in touch with reality through his being in touch with himself. That's what the centrality is. Like Einoid Mulvadoi, there's nothing but him. There's nothing outside of God. So God has the ultimate centrality. There's nothing outside of him. So everything that is here comes from him. He is central. He is central to the existence of everything. But a Zulosoi is not central to the existence. It's central to the knowledge of everything. He knows everything because he knows himself. But he has an aspect of centrality. And the fact of the matter is, because he is a partial centrality in a certain way, he has a knowledge of an outside or of reality which is an outside of him. He knows there's me and there's not me. And what's the problem with that? Because it produces a chalisha. When you have access to the feeling of centrality, where everything goes through you, and suddenly you realize that that there's an outside that doesn't go through you. I mean, it goes through you, but there's an outside. You feel a diminishment of that centrality, which is a form of power. True centrality is a power that all reality comes from me. And a compromise on that centrality is a compromise of, am I everything or am I not everything? Can I say Einoid Mulvadi or not? And the awareness that you cannot say Einoid Mulvadi is a chalisha of that centrality. It's a chalisha of the way you relate to existence. Now, what exactly causes that cause the compromise in centrality? And the answer is, it's the word me. What do I mean? When the Banisham was Mitzamsum, the Ein Sof, when the Ein Sof was Mitzamsum itself, it created something outside of itself. And suddenly this thing called the Zolosai has a certain sense of me. It has a sense of me. The me aspect of the Zolosai comes from the Tzimtzum. The Ein Sof doesn't have a feeling of me. It has no feeling at all. What does it have? We really don't know. But obviously, it's the ultimate in the sense of me. But it doesn't have a self-awareness like we do, where there's a me and there's a not me. But Tzimtzum creates the concept of me. And me creates the concept of not me. The not me awareness, or the outside of awareness, comes from where? It comes from the awareness of self, of me. So in other words, the source of Nam Ksufa, or the source of the Yetzer Hara, is really the establishment of a concept called me. As soon as I have a concept of myself, of me, at the same time I have a concept of not me. And that's Nam Ksufa. The cause of my Chalisha is simply me. The fact that I know myself automatically creates a concept that I don't know myself. There's a not me or an outside. So the source of the Yetzer Hara comes directly from Tzimtzum, because Tzimtzum creates the feeling of a me. Mm-hmm. And once that feeling is created, that automatically creates a feeling of not me as a contrast, and so on. And that creates a chalisha. So therefore, that's bad, because that causes an incomplete feeling to the Zolosai. What it feels, it's only partial. It doesn't have total centrality, and so on. And that feeling is a serious compromise on its relationship to its own existence. In other words, the Zolosai feels that even has a sense of me, and it knows itself, and it exists through the sense of me, but it doesn't control existence, because there's also existence outside of me. So therefore, I don't control existence, I only participate in it. That's Nam Ksufa, that my relationship to my own existence is only partial. And I relate to my own existence partially, but I don't relate to existence itself. I am not existence itself, even though my existence comes from my awareness, and therefore it's a sense that it exists in the feeling of me. But at the same time, the feeling of me compromises my relationship to my own existence, because it places it outside of me, that there's an outside. So in some way, existence, I am not the totality of existence. So the very creation of me creates Nam Ksufa. And that creates what? That creates the Yetzer Hara. Why? Why? Because I'm desperately trying to restore the feeling of me as being synonymous with existence. If I can feel me through awareness, then I should be feeling existence through my awareness. But I'm not. So therefore, automatically, the Zolosai has to restore the feeling of me in a total way. I have to feel something about the me where I'm in charge of existence. In certain ways, the fact that I'm aware of existence puts me in charge of existence. So therefore, I have a feeling of centrality. And the way the person does this is by saying, well, in the feeling of me, I don't share that feeling with anything. I don't feel this. I don't feel the feeling of me with anything else. I don't share that with anything else. It's true, I have an outside, but outside means it's not me. But in the feeling of me, inside the circle of me, I am total, I am complete. And it's the feeling of that totality that I relate to my existence in a way where I am existence. But that desire to feel that I am existence is a natural outgrowth of the feeling that I'm not existence. So therefore, the drive to restore my centrality is automatic. It comes from the same point in which I realize that I am. Because when I realize that I am, I also realize that I am not. So I have to find restoration. I have to find rehabilitation. I have to get satisfaction of centrality by at least in the feeling of me. I have to find my centrality, which is my relation to existence, in the me itself. So that's the Yetzer Hara, because that's a sheker. Because in the end, I am not even the me, even the inside myself is not free. I share that. Who do I share that with? Who do I share the me with? In
God.
myself.
Right?
God.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the conflict. God says in Olam Haba, I am you, but you are not me. So the Rebbeinu Shalom says, you don't have the feeling of me alone. I am part of the feeling of me. I share that with you. I am part of your inside. You see it. And you don't realize that. You don't realize I'm part of inside. You realize since you have an outside, so therefore you declare your freedom on the inside, which is me. Nothing shares that. The feeling of me is exclusive to myself, and that's not true. The Yetzer Hara is nothing more than to establish a sheker, which is not true. It wants to tell you that you relate to your existence through your awareness, and therefore you are existence. You are it. So by making the me the source of my existence and the source of my independent existence, I believe in a sheker, and that's Nam L'Ksufa. Nam L'Ksufa is a sheker in the sense that you believe that me alone, independent, there's nothing that's in me, nothing that shares that feeling, not even God. So that's why the Rebbeinu Shalom says, this is the Yetzer Hara. Your Yetzer Hara comes from your need to feel total that you are your existence. And it feels that need by declaring me alone, independent of everything else. And that's a sheker. Because that limits your ability to be dovek to the Rebbeinu Shalom. When the Rebbeinu Shalom says dovka boy, you should be dovek to him, that's not a small thing. But in Olam Haba, that dvekis is complete. What is the dvekis? That in Olam Haba, you realize that God is you. He is in the me. He is in your sense of self-awareness. That's your sense of self-awareness comes from the Ein Sof. That's the Chelek Elekami Mal from the Ein Sof. That you are God. That God is in the me, even though you still also feel are not me. And this is where the Yetzer Hara comes from, and the Yetzer Tov. The Yetzer Tov is the willingness to accept God as part of me. That's the Yetzer Tov. The Yetzer Hara is an unwillingness to share the me with God, that He is the basis of my feeling of self. And you don't want to accept that. You want to believe that your feeling of self is total, is alone, is levadoi, and it's a sheker. So that's the conflict. The Rebbeinu Shalom, when the Ein Sof was Mitzamtzum, he created the feeling of me. You know what I mean? But by creating the feeling of me, he allowed you to see that you also there's an outside. There's a not me. So therefore you would automatically have to compensate for that by believing that the me is also total. In other words, you would have to correct it. You would have to rehabilitate the deficiency of the word me by saying that nothing shares the feeling of me. So it's a symptom and the creation of a zulosoi, where the me, the self-awareness, has a boundary that automatically creates a Yetzer Hara to try and compensate for the loss of centrality, of saying Ein Oid Mulvadi. Since I know reality from my mind, but yet I'm not reality. I'm not reality because there's an outside. But the inside of me, the feeling of me itself, is total. Nothing shares that with me. And that's a sheker. God shares that with you. He gives you the sense of self, the sense of self-awareness in a boundary. So therefore, the Baruch Shem did not create the Yetzer Hara. You see it? He did not create the Yetzer Hara as a separate impulse. You know what? When you say koichvi oitzim yodi, or so, as a chayla there, when you believe that my power, suddenly you believe in the me that can do something without assistance from anyone else. In other words, I don't need anyone else. I don't need anyone else to do something for me. Maybe God is mostly in control of reality, but I have a square inch which excludes God. That square inch is me. You know what I mean? Maybe the not me is the whole universe, and that's God. But I have a square inch of that universe that's me, and that's only me, excluding God. So what that does, that makes God into a Yeshed Mulvadoi. It makes God into a multiple character. It owns a multiple existence. You take away the divinity, the koyach of the Baruch Shalom, by the word me. The word me, when you believe that nothing shares the me, takes away the divinity, the absolute ability to include all reality that the Baruch Shalom has. It de-emphasizes God. It strips God of his divinity, that God is not God. Why? Because he is not in the me. He is in the outside of me. Am I clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I make sense?
Yes.
Total sense. What cleared up for me is Ein Oid Mulvadi. That's wow.
Right.
That Ein Oid Mulvadi is me. That's causing
Right.
the Ein Oid Mulvadi.
Right. When in the ability of a person to say me, he holds Ein Oid Mulvadi in the me, and that's a sheker, because God says, "I am you." I am you. Even though you can't understand it now, in Olam Haba you will be understand it. You will be so dovik to me. And what do you mean dovik? That I will become a part of you. So therefore, how do we get rid of the Yetzer Hara? How do I get rid of the Yetzer Hara?
We need a mute. We need a mute. There you go. Okay.
So the question is, how do I get rid of the Yetzer Hara? How do I come to believe that the Baruch Shem is also me? And that's by establishing what emotion allows the Baruch Shem to be a me, and it doesn't produce a chalisha and so on. The tikkun of the Yetzer Hara is not the removal of the me. You can't remove the me, because then you will undo tzimtzum. So the me must always stand there. But the me is responsible for shame, kisufa. The essence of namak sufa doesn't lie in the fact that there's a part of you which has an outside. It lies in the fact that there's a part of you which has an outside and produces shame that I have to share the me with someone else. So therefore you want to believe that in the me there's nothing. But it's the shame that damages. So the Baruch Shem wants you to remove shame. Even though you accept the fact that I have an outside. And the only way to do it is to establish a certain feeling with God. Because when you have that feeling, you don't even think of that. There's no shame to that. And that's the feeling of love. Love, when you love someone in a true way, what happens? That even though you know that the person is outside of you, I mean, he's not you, he's outside of you. But by loving that person, you feel like he's part of you. And as you feel that that person who you love is really a part of you, it's a part of the me, and yet there's no shame. That's why the greatest...
Isn't that vacant?
Yes. That's why the Torah says the greatest mitzvah in the Torah is what? V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. What?
Oh. The tidbak, yeah.
Yeah. But more directly, it's what? What's the feeling that you have when you have the dveikus? What is dveikus? Dveikus is nothing more than loving God. I'm telling you. You can't be dovik to the Bnei Shalom. I mean, you can't be attached to him in any existential sense. So what is dveikus? Dveikus is the feeling that you are in love with God. And I don't think many people have that feeling in a guf. They have to work for that feeling. The Bnei Shalom says every time you do a mitzvah, I want to do a mitzvah mitoch ava, because you love me. Because the feeling that you love me means that I'm part of you. Even though you have an outside, and you think that I'm outside you, but the feeling that you love me includes me. And that's why the Bnei Shalom created a zivug. The concept of a zivug is what? I mean, I don't know what your experiences are and so on, but like the closest thing that comes to it is love, but not the love, partially the love of children, something, but it's really the love of your wife. It's the love of a zivug. I don't know if you people have had that, but if you've had that love of the woman that you're married to, or whatever that is, what's that?
Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, it's like Baruch Hashem. It's a big bracha. Because that love of the woman, the zivug, you feel that you love her even though she's outside of you. And if she's outside of you, it compromises on your centrality. But when there's love, you don't feel the compromise on the centrality. You don't have the shame. You don't have it. You don't have a chalisha. Love takes that away, even on the outside. You understand? That's why the whole Torah is based on love. The one thing the Bnei Shalom wants more than anything is that you should love him. Why? Because he is you. Technically speaking, you have to love him because he is your own sense of self-awareness, except that you don't know it. Non-Ksufa takes that away. It makes you want to believe that he is not part of the me, that the me that you have is alone, not shared by anything, to restore the centrality or the chalisha. So the Bnei Shalom says, no, don't do that. I am you. I'm inside the me also. And you'll only feel that. And how do you feel that? Love. That's why, you see, the Ramchal is very strange. Because the Ramchal say the way to remove the shame, is because you're not a Baal. You don't own your own existence. And he's right, you see. But the Ramchal doesn't really speak about the concept, I don't see about the concept of being dovik or the concept of loving. He says that when you're dovik, you get a big simcha. But he doesn't really, I don't get the feeling that he says that is the central idea of the whole Torah. The dovka boy. The Ramchal seems to mean, well, you have to do something to earn it. And when you earn it, you own it. Okay, good. But the Ramchal doesn't say, what do you mean you own it? What do you own? Because you did a mitzvah? Because you didn't eat treifus? That means you did something and you deserve it? You mean? No, it's because you didn't eat treifus. What happens is you develop a love of the Bnei Shalom. you get closer to him, you begin to feel him as part of me, which is the ultimate feeling of Olam Haba. So the central idea of Kol HaTorah Kula is V'ahavta Hashem L'kacha B'chol Levavecha V'chol Nafscha V'chol Moedecha. It's total. Well, how? How could you love God with all your soul and your heart and everything and all your money and so on to it? How is it possible to love something else as a totality? And what's the answer to that? How can you love God with such a total commitment? Especially since God is invisible. When you're a physical being, God is He's invisible. You cannot relate to him. So what is God talking about that he says you should love you with all your heart and soul? How is that possible? Somebody give me an answer. How is that possible?
Well, before saying the hafta, you say Ahavas Olam Haftarah. Hashem loves us. It's the Kamayim Palam upon that they. This first.
No.
He is you. That's the answer.
The answer is no. The fact that God loves us doesn't mean that we should love him. No, it's not reciprocal. But the reason why we love God, God is saying, you really, I am you. The Matthias, the emes says, I am the me. So therefore, you are capable of love. Because love is an attempt to unify that which was separated. Since we separated, God says, through Tzimtzum was an act of separation. By making you into a me, I separated you from you, and so on. So therefore, that takes away the love. You can restore that love. You can restore that information, that knowledge, that I am you by doing the mitzvahs. Because you will subjugate your mind to me. You will make yourself a chelik of me. You know, I am a chelik and a kamimal. You know what I mean? And that part of you, which is an Elokami Mal, is the part that I am in you. That's the Elokami Mal. And that produces love. So the feeling of love is the solution to the whole problem. And why is there a feeling of love? Because the Baruch Shem is you. Lamaisa, he is you. He's not making it up. And he's saying that if you understand this and come to that knowledge to doing mitzvahs, when you realize that I am you, it was me is being mitzvah to me to do mitzvahs. Because I'm part of you, I'm part of the you, I'm part of the me. So therefore, I'm part of the me, and you have the me. But we are together, we are a zivug, a chelik elakamimal. The part of me that you feel by yourself that you're outside of me is your chelik. But the part of me, but the aspect that I am part of the me is the Elokami Mal. And in Olam Hazeh, the way we feel it is to love. Now, what is the love in Olam Haba? We have no idea. The true meaning of the word Ayin Lo Yirah, that we have never seen anything about Olam Haba. We are unable to view Olam Haba as it really is while we're in Olam Hazeh. What does that mean? And I'll tell you a very big secret. It refers to the love that you will have to the Baruch Shalom in Olam Hazeh. in Olam Haba. The way you will love the Dveikus that you will have in Olam Haba is completely different than the Dveikus you have to the Olam Haba when you're in Gan Eden, when you're Ruchnius. There's no comparison. That love will be complete and total. Does everyone understand? That will be a madreg of Ava, which will be b'chol levavcha v'nafscha. It'll be so great because then you will truly comprehend that the Baruch Shem is you. He's in the you. He's in the self. And that's Olam Haba.
And in Gan Eden you can't experience that?
No.
Why?
Because now I'll get to that in a minute when I talk about the neshama. Because in the Gan Eden you are a neshama, so you understand that there's a Baruch Shem from the neshama. I mean, the Baruch Shem can feel the Baruch Shem, and the neshama feels that the Baruch Shem is in him. But it's still you're only a neshama. You are not a neshama. You are a self. That's really what you are. You are an aspect of being called self. I will talk about the neshama soon.
And self needs a guf?
What?
Self needs a guf?
No. The self is...
So why in Gan Eden, the neshama is still a self?
Your
it's not a self.
Is
it's a lens. It's a lens.
It's a lens. I'll explain that in a minute. The neshama is a lens.
As of the last up.
The neshama gives you a feeling of reality. The guf gives you a feeling of reality, but it is not you. It is a lens, like glasses. It's a lens that's put over the self that shows you reality.
The self never gets to Gan Eden when a person dies.
No, the self is in Gan Eden, but it sees Gan Eden through the eyes of a neshama. Look, from here we go on to another concept. The concept that I said last time is that the Banacham cannot fix this, cannot take away the shame. You have to take away the shame, because the shame comes from the me itself. So you have to take it out of yourself by realizing that God is you, takes it away. But it's something you have to do. You mean? That even if God explains it to you, you're not going to comprehend. You have to make it a part of your mental awareness, part of your self-awareness that God is you. You mean? Because when God was with Samson you know what I mean? He created the me outside of God. So you are the only one that can take the me and put it back inside God. You have to undo Tzimtzum. Nam L'Ksufa is created by Tzimtzum. You have to get rid of the shame of Nam L'Ksufa by getting rid of the effect of Tzimtzum to compromise your centrality.
Well, why did he have to make Tzimtzum so strong, so stark?
Well,
whatever the person is going to do at the end, he's going to move back and get rid of the effect.
You don't understand. It's not that he made Tzimtzum so stark. Look, Tzimtzum cannot be measured quantitatively. The Banacham was with Samsum you to become a self outside of the Ein Sof. It's to feel like a self. You have to understand, God says in Olam Haba, I am you, but you are not me. What does that mean, you are not me? What part of the person is the you are not me? That's the me. And what is that called? That's the chelek. When it says that a person is a chelek elokami mal, it means he's composed of two aspects. The chelek aspect is the fact that he feels me. The elokami mal is the Rabbanu Shalom in the me, that he doesn't feel, that his Yetzer says, I'm alone, I share that with nothing. But there's an Elokami Mal that's in the me, with the me of the person. So Tzimtzum produces a sense of me, you know what I mean? Which the Rabbanu Shalom says, you are not me. You are not me, but I am you. You got that? That's what Tzimtzum does. It produces a sense of self that's alone and by itself. But even though it's by itself, God is still part of it. But if the person didn't feel a me, he wouldn't feel anything. He would be part of the Ein Sof. What separates the Ein Sof from the Zulosoi is the me. And the me is produced by Tzimtzum. Now, when you say, let him Tzimtzum be less, the Tzimtzum shouldn't produce such a me. No, that's not what it is. There's a minimum amount. It's not quantitative, but the Tzimtzum produced the feeling of me in the Zulasai. It's just that the Zulasai has to rehabilitate that me to realize that God is part of the me. So it's really rehabilitating restoring the presence of God in the me, because the symptom drove it out of the me. Why? Because the person has to restore his centrality, and that means excluding God from the me and believing that he's alone.
He's saying there's no halfways. It's either a me or it's not a me.
Right.
In order to have a me, you need a tzimtzum at the full extent. And there's a sheker in that tzimtzum.
Yeah. The tzimtzum creates a certain sheker. Nam Neksufa is a sheker. It is. Because it forces the person, the self, to create the feeling that the me excludes everything. It's the very existence of the me that excludes God from the me, and where the person believes that he's a me. In the me, there's no one. There's someone outside of me, but not in the me. It's the me, which is the product of symptom, which creates the problem of Nam Neksufa, which creates the impulse of the Yetzer Hara. That's what I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying is that if God would help the me fix the me problem, then the me would not be a full me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a real symptom. It would.
Yeah, then it wouldn't be a symptom.
It wouldn't be a symptom. There's the only way to fix the me is first God to make a real symptom. Now the me is on his own. And now the me needs to allow the light of the kav, the light of the or of the lakas to come into the me.
Right.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be bechira, right? I mean, it wouldn't be bechira if there wasn't the me.
Right. The me, see, that's what I'm saying. It's a very big chiddush. The me creates the whole problem. Nam Neksufa is a problem in the me, which comes from symptom. And the person.
When is it created, Shimon? When is it created?
What?
This problem.
At the created of the Rishimu.
By the Rishimu level. By the Rishimu level.
All of this is before the spheres even exist. Because the creation of the spheres, so those people who know where the kav comes down and goes into the Rishimu and creates the spheres in the Rishimu, that is the creation of the tikkun of Nam Neksufa. The spheres were created to masaka Nam Neksufa. But before the spheres were created, you had to have the problem of Nam Neksufa. So therefore, Nam Neksufa is a problem in the Rishimu when there are no spheres. In the world of the Cholol, all that exists is the Rishimu. And I believe that the Rishimu is the Zulasai. Nobody else says that. You don't find this. You don't find them saying this at all. I don't know why. They believe that the Zulasai comes from much later on. Comes from the Olam Mabriya. That Olam Mabriya later on. They believe that the spheres created the Olamas. The spheres created the Olamas. I don't believe that's true. The spheres created, what the spheres did was it enabled, and I'm going to tell you of extremely the powerful chiddush. What are the spheres? What does it mean? It means that the Zulosai, which has a problem of Nam Neksufa, which is the Rishimu, at that stage, the Zulosai cannot repair itself. The Rishimu cannot repair itself. It cannot.
Cannot fix itself.
It cannot fix itself. Why? Because there's no reality. The Rishimu, in the world of the Rishimu, in the Cholol, all there is the Ein Sof and the Rishimu. There is no such thing as reality. All there is a self. The self of the Ein Sof, which is unknowable, and the self of the Zolosai. Nothing else exists. The Rishimu knows itself. That's its existence. It exists because it knows itself. That's all that exists. There is no such thing as reality. When the kav comes out and it starts to convert the Rishimu into spheres, what the kav is doing It's making the Rishimu into a dynamic being, not a static being. When the Rishimu is alone, before the Kav comes down, the Rishimu is said to be static. It's unable to repair itself of Namak Sufa. It's unable to do it. It's a static being.
Why? But there's a border, right? There's a border.
There's a primordial reality of the border that's created from Tzimtzum, but there's not reality as we know it. When you look through your eyes and you see reality, that does not exist at the level of the Rishimu. There is nothing outside of the mind of the Rishimu. Nothing. All that exists in the mind of the Rishimu is its own existence through its own awareness. Nothing exists.
It doesn't recognize God? He's not recognizing God?
Yeah, it has an outside. It feels the cholol. It feels the border around it. There's an outside. It feels God as an outside.
So what makes
all it has to do is recognize the outside is really inside.
Yeah, fine. Now you say all it has to do, but that, my friend, that all it has to do is the whole energy of creation. That's all of Olam Hazeh. To do that, it has to have b'chira chavshis. It has to be free will. It has to have the options. So therefore, the Buddhism creates reality, where it actually.
Somehow, full b'chira only happens when a guf is created, when it's put in a guf.
No, Isaac, you're jumping 20 steps. 1 second. So he's static.
I have no idea. I don't know. Shimon is.
1 second, you're jumping, Isaac. The
I just told over. I said over Ramchal. That's all I did. I said over Ramchal.
Okay. We looked up Shimon now. The Shumo is static. Now, what makes the dynamic of Shimon? Just explain that one more time. Is that the Kav?
The Kav, the spheres. The purpose of the Kav is that the Kav enters into the Rishimu, and suddenly it creates the spheres. It creates the spheres the Egulim and the spheres the Yosha. And that's called the Demusa Adam. You know what the Demusa Adam, what is the Demusa? When it says that it creates the spheres in the Derech of Yosha, where you have Chesed, Din, and Rachamim. You know what I mean? When you have that, you have right, left, and middle. That's called the spheres in the Tzu of an Adam. And that's called the Demusa Adam. What is the Demusa Adam? What is it? What does it mean that that's the Demusa Adam? That means that the Rishimu is not the Demusa Adam, right? That's what it's saying. The Rishimu is not the Demusa Adam. It becomes a Demusa Adam in these Esses spheres, the Yosha. When the spheres take the configuration of an Adam, that's the Demusa Adam. And that is the greatest thing of happened. Why? What is the Demusa Adam? What's the difference between the Demusa Adam with the Rishimu is in the form of the spheres? The Demusa Adam is when the Rishimu enters into the form of the spheres. It takes on, the spheres are like a uniform. It's like it's a clothes. The suit that the Rishimu wears is the Esespheres. It's a slabshus. It's a lavush. The Esespheres are a lavush on the Rishimu. You see, but what the Kabbalah says is that the Esespheres is a lavush of the Ein Sof. That's, if you look in the Kabbalah's form, it says that the Esespheres is a lavush on the Ein Sof. That the Ein Sof is mislabish in the Esespheres. But that's not true. The Esespheres is the lavush of the Rishimu. Why? Because when the Rishimu is without a lavush, it has no reality. It's the Zulasai. It is the Zulasai. And suddenly, the reason why it's suddenly given a lavush called Esespheres Yosha or the Musa Adam, because suddenly it has a reality, and suddenly it can masaken Nam the Ksufa. What enables the Rishimu to masaken Nam the Ksufa is the lavush of the Esespheres, the Yosha, and the Igulim. The Ik is the Yosha, and that's why it's called the Musa Adam. What is the chashivas of the Musa Adam? It refers to the fact that now the Rishimu has the equipment to fix Nam the Ksufa. the Musa Adam with the spheres, with the Rishimu, with the form of the Esser spheres, has the ability now to Masaka Namak Suva. Namak Suva is dynamic. The Zulasa is dynamic. Before, what dynamic means, it means it has an energy to go from point A to point B. It moves. It can move. Where does it move? It moves in its existence. It's able to include God or exclude God from its sense of me. But the me is in the Rishimu. It doesn't come from the spheres. The me is the Rishimu, which is a symptom of the Ein Sof. That's where the Zulosai appears. But the Zulosai appears in its ultimate form. And the ultimate form of the Zulosai has nothing to do with the spheres. You understand? It is a complete entity. It is the Rishimu. It is the Zulosai. It is a sense of me that comes from Tzimtzum. The spheres are created to allow the Rishimu to change itself, to include God in the me and Masaka Namak Sufa. And that's why the spheres existed. So another way to say it is that the spheres is the lavush of the Rishimu. It's not the lavush of the Ein Sof. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
Very interesting.
Because the Esser spheres, what does the Esser spheres create? What does it mean that it's a lavush? You mean what do the Esser spheres, the Yosha, create? What happens when it's created that didn't exist before? The Rishimu? No, the Rishimu existed before. So what's created by the Esser spheres? What is created by the Esser spheres? What?
The Musa Adam, you said.
Right, and what is the Musa Adam?
Dynamic reality.
Oh, right. The Musa Adam is suddenly the Rishimu with the lavush of the Esser spheres is dynamic. What makes it dynamic? What suddenly came into being that didn't exist before? What makes it dynamic? What?
His ability to change his self-awareness.
And what allows it to do that?
I would say choice.
What?
Choice.
No.
His decision, his choice.
No. Yes, it has choice now, but it has choice why? What was created by the Esser spheres, by the Dumas Adam?
Oh, okay, very good. Good question.
And why does the Dumas Adam represent that?
And what I'm telling you is this. What was created, listen carefully, what's created by the Musa Adam, by the Esser spheres, the Yoshin Nigulam, what is that? Now that's called the world of Adam Kadmoin. Adam Kadmoin is the first manifestation of Adam. That's why it's called Kadmoin. And what is the first manifestation of Adam? That's why it's called the Musa Adam. But what is an Adam, really? An Adam is a Zulosai, which is mislabish in the Esser spheres, and the Esser spheres allows it to become dynamic to Masaka Namak Sufa. Now, what does it create to allow the Matikun of Namak Sufa? What does it do? What is created from the Esser spheres that enables the Bechira, free will, to exist? Can you answer that question? Because I'm going to give you the answer. Can anyone answer that question? Because you have to get this idea. This is the most powerful idea in Kabbalah. It is the single most powerful idea. Why were the spheres created? They were created to become a lavush for the Zulosai, so that it can masakan itself with free will. But what did it create to do it? What did the Esser spheres make? What?
The lenses?
Yes, but the lenses for what? The spheres are lenses. They are. But what do the spheres create? In one word.
You're looking for reality?
What's that? I'm sorry, what's that?
You're looking for reality?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't understand. What you don't understand is the spheres as a lavush, as clothes, as a uniform on the Rishimo gives the Rishimo the ability to suddenly relate to reality. There is no reality. I can't emphasize. There is no reality. There's no reality outside of the Rishimu. The Shimu is simply a self that has self-awareness. Nothing else exists but the Rishimu and the Ein Sof.
But how does my reality interact with your reality? I mean, because we're both.
That's another question. Wait a minute. You're talking about the interaction of lenses.
Yeah.
Far down. You have to understand what reality. Look, do you know how what's the structure of Adam Kadmon? You know, right? The structure of Adam Kadmon. I'm going to look. Listen to me, please.
Tell me again, if you don't mind.
Adam Kadmon is what creates the spheres. The creation of the spheres comes from Adam Kadmon. And Adam Kadmon in Kabbalah is a light that comes from the eyes, from the forehead, the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the mouth. And then it comes from the navel, and so on. Adam Kadmon is a series of lights that come out of what? Out of a guf that has a forehead, a head, eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. What are these organs? What are these organs? What do the eyes do? The ears do? The nose does? The mouth does? And the rest of the body? What does it do? What kind of organs are these? Somebody tell me.
Perception organs?
Yes, they're sensory organs.
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Aren't they sensory organs?
Mm-hmm. Five
the
senses,
eyes, sight. The ears, hearing. The nose, smelling. You mean the mouth, gustatory, tasting or talking and so on. And the body, you know what I mean?
It doesn't say the light comes out of its liver or something like that.
Right. So don't you see? You have to understand why is the Adam Kadmon, why is it coming out of sensory organs? Isn't it strange? These are not holes. These are organs. They're sensory organs. Because what's being created? What?
A human has the senses.
You see, in the human, but what about the human?
It senses reality.
Reality. You see, while we... Look, I'm sorry. While we are human, all these organs, eyes, ears, and so on, respond to light, to stimuli which go inside the organ. The eyes receive light from outside. The ears receive sounds from the outside. The nose receives smell from the outside. These are organs, right, that respond to stimuli that come from the outside. But in Adam Kadmon, the light is not coming from the outside, it's coming from the inside. It comes out of the eyes, out of the ears, out of the nose, out of the mouth. It's coming from the inside out. So therefore, what are these sensory organs creating? They're not responding to reality. They are creating reality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? That's why the mashal of Adam Kadmon is an Adam with senses that are emitting light.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And why does the Ari use this mashal? Because emitting light is really creating the reality which will give the light to the eyes. The eyes, by emitting ore, is actually creating visual reality. The ears are creating auditory reality. The nose is creating olfactory reality. The mouth is creating gustatory, taste. Look, sight, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. What are these? These are your sensory organs. That's how you know reality. If you didn't have these organs, if a person was born without eyes and ears and nose and tongue and touch and anything, he would be a self. He would be locked up inside his mind. There would be nothing for him that tells him there's an outside. Do you understand that?
Well, yeah.
So it's the eyes in reverse, you're saying, Reb Shimon.
Right.
No,
and why
the eyes in reverse? Why Adam
the source of the eyes.
Why is everything in reverse? Why is everything in reverse? Why?
Because it's creating it. It's creating
right.
it. It's setting it. That's
right.
Wow.
Right. It's not responding. Big. It's not responding to reality. It's creating it. But that's why we use the muscle of the Musa Adam, where all the oils are coming from the sensory organs, because what the spheres are creating is reality.
That's massive. Wow. The eyes are a receptacle of light, but over there, Adam Kadmon, it was pushed. Yeah, the light was going out of the eyes because it was making reality. Wow.
Right.
So,
no one says.
Shimon, why when it went down to the bottom, like after the navel, it started shuyas akalim? It started breaking down.
Because the kalim have to do with the construction of reality. Reality is constructed with kalim of the spheres. That's another thing. But that has to do with the structure of reality. But what creates reality is the Musa Adam. That's what the Musa Adam means. The Musa Adam refers to the Zulasoi, the Rishimu, in the form of reality. So that now the Zulasoi is now dynamic. And that's why in that form. You mean? He's dynamic now. He's a Musa Adam. The Musa Adam means the form of the Zolosoi in dynamic form, as opposed to the static form of the Rishum alone. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, so he can now interact.
Parts of it, only parts of it.
So, Shimon, why do you have to be a two-step process? 1 second. Why do you need to be a two-step process? Why did it come in the form of Rishumoy and then Kav? What were the two pieces? Why did it start off as a static and then the Kav coming in?
Because Namlik Sufa is a static problem. It comes from the me. Mm-hmm. It comes from the inclination to establish the me as levadoi, being alone. Namlik Sufa is a static problem, but in order to solve it, you have to make the Zulatsoi dynamic by giving it reality, by extending from it reality, and in reality, you give it lenses, certain ways to see reality, which gives it options. The lenses are the Guf and the Neshama.
Is God dynamic? Shimon, is God dynamic?
Who?
Is the Ein Sof dynamic?
Yeah, it's dynamic because it's mitzam to itself, but we don't understand that form of dynamic because the Ein Sof is without a boundary.
No, so what I'm really asking is if the Ein Sof is dynamic or a piece of it shouldn't have been intrinsically within our nature a dynamic reality, why do you need it as a secondary piece? That's really where I'm coming to it.
No, the Ein Sof is a Ratzon. It's the manifestation of Ratzon. God as Ba'atzmusoi is not static, he's not dynamic. He's neither one. It's impossible to understand God Ba'atzmusoi. He has no shaykhs to any of this. He has no will, as I once told you. God has no will. Why? Because he is everything. So therefore, he doesn't want anything. God cannot say the word I want. It's not shaykh to God.
So he's not dynamic. So he's not dynamic.
No, he's not.
Dynamic.
He doesn't go from A to B.
So how is it possible if we're nothing more than an extension of God? If he's not dynamic, where does the ability to be dynamic come from? It's a new
from the Ein Sof. From the Ein Sof, because the Ein Sof is the Ratzon Hashem.
We're just a symptom of that. I guess in the symptom of that, it's limited. We're the limited version.
Right. Yeah. We are right. What Kessin is saying is true. We are nothing. The Zulosoi is a limited version of the Ein Sof, but it's mamish an Ein Sof.
Ein Sof light. Ein Sof light.
Okay, good. Ein Sof light. But you see,
I'm getting stuck up, Shimon, is that if it has to be that the dynamic ability is from the Ein Sof, let's call it from his Ratzon. So why did it have to be broken into two pieces? That's why I'm getting lost. Why did it have to come in two forms? Its source is anyway the Ratzon. It came first as a Rishumoy and then as a Kav. It should be
because
whatever. Why is it
Yeah. Calm down. The Tzimtzum produces a static being called the Zulosai, which is really a limited version of the Ein Sof. The problem of Namlik Sufa is static. It sees it outside, it has a me, and it has a shosh of din, meaning it has a shosh of the Yetzer Hara because it makes the me total, only me. You understand? So therefore, in order to allow the Zulosai or the Rishimu to get rid of that, you have to make it dynamic. And how do you make it dynamic? By creating reality, by suddenly creating something which is outside of it, which is a lens, and you do that by lenses. There's a lens which creates,
which allows you to have the chira and therefore earn your way back into the full model. You know, it's like freeware. You know, you have the limited model, you can do all kinds of things, but then, you know, if you want to actually do the real thing, you have to pay. You have to earn. You have the chira
right.
that
right.
That means
right.
you have the shareware, which is just like a limited model. It can do some things, but it doesn't have. In order to do the real thing, you have to actually earn it. You have to have a chira, make the right choices, and then you can go to the full model of
right. You have to do the work, and you can't do the work unless there's a reality, which I explained last time. You know, you can't, because Namlik Sufa is the problem in itself, intrinsically. So to give it options, you have to make it viable, that suddenly the me is viable in the world of Gashmias. The Guf tells you a me which is not shared. The Neshama tells you a me which is shared. You mean? Both of them tell you a different version of the me. And you choose the version that you believe. If you believe that you are a me without anyone else, that's the Guf. If you believe you are me with something else, that's the Neshama. Do you understand? The Guf and Neshama is a lens. It's a lens that gives you two different versions of reality. The reality of me alone and the reality of me shared. You understand? But it is nothing more than a reality. It's a version, and a version is reality. What is reality? Reality is a version. What a version between what? Between the subject and the object. A reality means that there's an object, there's something outside of you, as opposed to a subject, you. There has to be the duality, where there's a reality, to allow them to be options.
Shimon, what I'm struggling very, very, very bad is the Rishumai has those two versions of him in the Rishumai level. He's thinking about these two options.
Not
somehow
really.
Just can't choose.
He's
not really thinking about it?
No, he's not. The Rishimu has nothing but a Yetzer Hara. You understand? The Rishimu automatically goes to the side that only me. Why? Because the crisis of Namlik Sufa is a crisis in me. Namlik Sufa is a crisis in the me, that it's limited, and that therefore it has a chalisha, and therefore the Rishimu solves that chalisha by what? By the concept of only me. You know that there's no nothing.
Why would it choose that way? You see, it's able to choose, and it's choosing that way because it's threatened. It has a tremendous chalisha. You're saying so. It chooses one way over the other.
The chalisha doesn't allow it to choose. it doesn't allow it to choose, because the Chalisha forces it to choose a way which will temporarily repair it. And that's only me. The concept of not shared me, but only me. So in order for the
Dveikis is also a choice. Shimon, Dveikis also repairs it. So why does it choose a suicidal approach? Let it choose the real approach. It chooses sides. Immediately it picks sides, and it picks the wrong side. Why?
Because that side saves the Rishimo from what's called primordial pain. Primordial pain is the shame, the ksufa. When you have primordial pain, nam the ksufa is a pain. It's not physical pain, it's not spiritual pain. It is self-pain, chalisha, which is experienced by the self. We don't really truly know what that is, in a way. But that self-pain gives an extra emphasis because it comes from the me itself, which is the Zulatzai.
And you're saying at that point, immediately it chooses the wrong side.
Yes, it automatically, spontaneously chooses the wrong side. That's what it means when it says that the Rishimu is a Shurish of Din. Isn't that what it says? What does it mean it's a Shurish of Din? What does that mean, the Shurish of Din? It means it's a Shurish of Namlik Sufa. Why? Because of primordial pain, the pain of Namlik Sufa. Namlik Sufa is a pain. It's a chalisha. It's a diminishment of centrality. So automatically it goes to the side of the Yetzer Hara. So the Baruch Shem therefore has to existentialize the pain in a way and externalize it by giving it two different versions. The Baruch Shem has to give a version to the Rishimu of the Neshama that it shared me, as opposed to the version that only me.
Also, the only me version is not why reality was created. The neshama side is what reality gained, and reality would seem is separation. Reality should do both.
Yes, but the neshama is the concept of love, which the group has to accept.
Very difficult concept, Shimon.
Shlomi was on something. This is big. You're saying the whole reality was created to create the concept of love. Love doesn't exist in the Shumai level, so there's no real solution. Is that what I just heard?
Well, yes, in a certain level, the impetus of the Yetzer Hara is like at that level of static is perhaps equal to or greater than the impetus of the Yetzer Tov. Because of
what?
Because when you create a me, you create a chalisha. When you create a me, you create a chalisha. A chalisha is pain. It's not a pain that we normally can get, but it's the pain of the Rishimu. When the Kabbalah says that the Rishimu is the Shurish of Din, it means what? It's a Shurish of the Yetzer Hara. Because the Din is created because of the Yetzer Hara. And what does it mean it's a Shurish of the Yetzer Hara? What? That the Me produces the Yetzer Hara. It produces the Chalisha, the Busha, in the Rishimu. So therefore, the inclination that there's a Yetzer Hara confusing, there's an automatic impulse in the Rishimu to go towards the side of only me.
Shimon, I'm just still a little confused. Why does it come in two spurts? I'm not getting the concept. Why does it have to come in two? First as a Rishimu and then as a Kav. Why can they come together? The Rishimu should have both elements to it. Why is it broken out into two pieces?
Well, look, That's how the spheres are created. The Kav separates the Rishimu into two parts, in a way, and puts a uniform on it that gives it a lavush. And the lavush is the spheres. Adam Kadmoin is the lavush. The Kav changes the Rishimu into the Musa Adam. That's really what's going on.
The Kav is new or Reb Shimon, the Kav is new or, right? That's the language. The Shimon was on its own, and then a Kav entered it, which is a fuse of new or.
Yes, but it's not a new or.
What's your point?
There's a difference between the or of the Kav and the or of the Rishimu. There's a difference. The or of the Rishimu is an entity, really. The or of the Kav is a mechanism that enters into the entity and fashions it into a new entity called the Musa Adam.
It's very hard. The term or is very confusing. Or. Because I was thinking is or is reality shooting out of this Adam Kadmon's eyes and things. Now you got this or of the Kav. There must be a different term for that, I would think.
Look, they call it an or, but it's the or of the Ein Sof in the Cholol, really. But it's much more directly related. The Rishimu comes from the Ein Sof derech Tzimtzum. The Kav comes from the Ein Sof derech Knisa. You know, it breaks into the world. It's machnes. The Ein Sof is machnes and or. It enters an or into the Rishimu, and that or is called a Kav. The Rishimu is an entity it doesn't enter. The Rishimu is not something that enters into a space called the Cholol. The Rishimu is projected and is created intact, fully. You know what I mean?
So the Rishimu is a product of Tzimtzum.
Yes.
So there's a limitation to that. The Kav
is not a product of Tzimtzum. Correct. It's an entry, it's a kanisa of the Ein Sof into the Tzimtzum to make it into a lavush, to make it dynamic, to convert it to the Musa Adam, which is the creation of reality, so that the Rishimu becomes dynamic. You know what I mean?
So Reb Shimon, I'm starting to hear something very big. The product of Tzimtzum, which is the Rishimu alone, has a very strong Yetzer Hara, because Tzimtzum is very strong me, very strong Sheker, and it doesn't have enough of the other side. When the Kav comes in, the Kav comes in, it's or that's not Mitzumtzum, that has more neshama left to it.
Yes.
Oh, so why can't you say it's simple? Why can't you say that the Shumai is too much on the Yetzer Hara side because it's a product of Tzimtzum? The Kav undoes that.
You can say that. You can say that. In a way, you're right.
That's easier. Guys, do you understand this?
No, I don't understand it. No, I don't understand
I almost hear it as a computer with plus connectivity. You have a box. It doesn't do anything. It has atzmius in it, but it's not connected. And then you add to that a program with connectivity. You suddenly are connected to everything, and it produces it. I'm sorry, I'm a computer guy, but it's everything's computer.
Isaac, if what you're saying is true, then let it just be balanced with the Kav and the Rishimu together, and you have a fixed product right there. It wouldn't be Nama the Ksufa. I don't understand what you're getting so excited about, Isaac.
I have a beginning. I don't have an end. I hear what you're saying, but I have a beginning over here.
The beginning we all know. We're trying to get this Nakuda.
No, this is very new, Shlomi. I'm sorry.
I know it's very new. No, I'm not being b'mayit chiddush here. I'm trying to say I'm trying to get that. Shimon seems to be saying that the Kav is the outside reality. If the Kav was somehow integrated together with the Rishumoi, maybe the way you're saying it, there should be a more balanced existence from the get-go.
No, so Shimon Shlomi is asking that once you have the Kav, which is or that's not Mitzumtzum, and it's more emes, So if the kav is more emes, so right then and there is a solution to Namdach Sufa. The Rishuma is able, before the Musa Adam and Adam Kadman, he's able to choose the aura of the kav before it turns into reality. Right, Shlomi, that's your kasha?
Yeah, why does it have to be an outside reality? If you have that...
Okay. So this is that's the kasha.
Yeah, I've been asking this in a few different ways. I'm trying to get an understanding of this.
I didn't know what the kav was, Shlomi. If Shimon just explained the kav the first time.
I understand that. It's massive. I understand that.
Yeah. If Shimon,
look,
I'm sorry we're talking to each other, but Shlomi is asking that the aura of the kav...
what I want you to do is listen to this whole tape over several times, and maybe you'll understand it. But I don't want to continue this. It's going on and on. So I'll go over the same thing again. But I think you may be able to get the answer if you listen to this, what I've said it, because I've said the same thing in many different ways. So perhaps you'll be able to get it.
Okay.
If you still have the problem from next week, then in 2 weeks, then I'll go over it again.
No, we need to, at this point, we're going to work on it, but at this point we probably could do a chazara. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
The guys...
You have to incorporate new ideas that I presented now.
Yeah.
I presented certain very radical new ideas.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Now, Shimon, am I going to be able to call you in the middle of the week, 2 weeks, if I have to clarify something?
Nope.
Okay, but I want you to listen to the tapes over and over again, so you can get the clarification.
That's fair, very fair, Shimon. Very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of work, a lot of new ideas, and a lot of work. 100%.
Yeah, this is very new ideas. The fact is,
powerful.
Honest with you, no one really says this. But
you explained, right now you explained the oirus coming out of the choitim and the oizen in an exploding way, nuclear, and then the kav.
Yeah.
What the kav is and what? Yeah, these are two massive ideas.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And Shimon, you explained also why it's broken out into two. If I listen to that, that's what I keep on asking. It'll be there. You explained that.
Yes.
Okay. I know these are very new concepts. Like I was saying, these are what are hitting me.
Shimon, I'm missing one piece that you said, but you said it very quickly. You said that the kav is introducing love, and it has to teach it to the guf, to the shumoy, to the chelik. Could you expand on that a drop so I could work on it in the next 2 weeks? You said it, but you said it so fast.
No, I want to first integrate what you can from the shir, what I said.
Oh.
And then we'll see what's missing.
Okay.
Isaac, nice try.
No, Shimon spoke about it. He said it. Right. Did I make it up, Shimon? You said it.
No, I said it. I think you can maybe, if you hover on what I said, I think you'll be able to accept a lot. You'll probably be able to integrate more. And if you can't do that, then I'll go over it again. But I think you may be able to get it from just by listening to the shir.
Gewaldig. Very powerful shir, Shimon. Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Shimon, you want to talk about Netanyahu a little bit? There's nothing news there.
There's nothing new. It's still up in the air.
Yeah. We need to feel it. Okay.
Great stuff. Very good.
Okay, take care. Right.
Okay, cool. Bye-bye.